Hey everybody, it's David Pingree coming to you from the 2019 Husqvarna launch of their 4-stroke motocross models. And we're here at Baker's Factory, a place that has become hallowed grounds in the motocross world, in the professional realm. Alden Baker has become the most prolific trainer in this sport, probably in the history of our sport. He's pretty much winning championships every single season that he works with guys. That goes way back. So pretty amazing to be here. A little overwhelming. You see the nearly 100-acre facility that he's got, multiple tracks. We're just riding on one of the outdoor tracks today, and it's incredible. The details that he puts into his training with his riders is also exemplified here in the facility. So we really appreciate him letting us come out and try these brand new Husqvarna models. Everything from the 250 to the 450, a lot of new changes. Kind of something that covers all of it is the frame. They added more rigidity, torsional rigidity, to try to get a little bit less flex in certain areas while keeping the flex characteristic in others. And it just allows the bike to have a more positive feeling, like not so much reactivity. And it definitely is noticeable when you ride. And there's other things they've done as well. The triple clamps on all three bikes, the upper clamp is a little stiffer. And that gives you a more planted feeling with the front. Works in conjunction with the changes they made to the frame. They also did a lot of work on the bodywork. They look different, obviously, looking at it, but when you up here and sit on them, it's much slimmer in the back, where in the past when you had to jump back on the bike off of a jump or through whoops or whatever, you could tell that it got really wide back here around the muffler. And they've corrected that. It's much slimmer back here. They were actually went to a subframe that's 2 pieces now instead of 3. It's more rigid, it's lighter, and that helps. Sometimes when it was a really heavy mud races, the back fender was flexing a little bit, so they corrected that. They've dropped some weight, and by reshaping it, they actually are able to drop the batteries down, which is a new lithium-ion battery. And because they can drop the battery down, now the seat base can actually drop lower, and then the seat itself went a little bit lower. And they were able to add more padding and still drop the seat height, which is great. In the past, some of these you could, on a seat bounce, go through and hit the base. You go through the foam and hit that plastic. Not an issue anymore. They've corrected that in recent years, but you're definitely not going to have that happen on this machine. So a lot of changes to those things. Nothing changed through the center. They didn't want to get too narrow where guys felt like they didn't have a good contact point with the bike. So they kept it the same in the center, but thinned it out in front of and behind, and you can feel that on the track. Some other little changes. Swing arm length is a little bit longer in the back where that slot is, so you can adjust it back. Add a link to the chain if you want and go back for more stability, or run it way up front if you like it to corner and be a little quicker. So it just gives you more options as you're setting it up. Radiators, they're actually bigger diameter ports through all these, so they can flow more coolant, just more efficient, works better. They're 12 millimeters lower. Again, getting that center of gravity down and in, and better cooling, which obviously helps. All of these bikes have new map settings, new traction control settings, and new launch control settings. Just refined what they've had in the past that worked really well. New intakes, new exhaust ports. The exhaust systems themselves have been reworked significantly, and you can notice how much shorter the mufflers are. They're really trying to bring that weight in towards the center. But they came up with, I think they went through 50 different editions before they came up with the exhaust that they liked on this 350, and I think same with the 250 and 450 as well. Just really spent some time trying to fine tune those and get them the way they wanted it. And MX3S tires on these things. They've got brand new transmissions, the Pingree transmission, which is huge. It's a sister company to Husqvarna, so it made sense for them. And it is as high quality as you can get. And different changes in the engine. The 450 has a lower cylinder head. Obviously all new mapping, new designs inside of there, just trying to make the power more user-friendly. It's not necessarily about making more power. Their designers and engine builders were telling us they could make a lot more horsepower out of this motor if they wanted to. What they're trying to do is make it more usable, more tractable, more rider-friendly. And I think they've really done a great job here. I rode all 3 of these today, put a lot of laps in, starting with the 250, probably my favorite bike here. This track was so rough and rutted and technical that it was just easier for me to get that bike around the track. The handling is great. We set all our sag at 105, and I didn't really make many adjustments. Too stiffer on the front fork, which I just did on the fly as I was riding, just reach down and dial it. And that really got me all I wanted. I was getting a little too much dive in the front end, but that corrected it immediately. Great bump absorption, great straight line stability, and they're attributing that to the frame changes and also to that front triple clamp change. Whatever it was, I was happy that it was keeping me straight down some of these straightaways because they were rough. The engine, you definitely feel this thing pick up. It's got a very light feeling to it. All the bikes, in fact, share that characteristic. Instead of like a slower building, heavier power, these are very, very quick, very connected. The throttle is just in unison with that rear wheel. The second you turn it, these are going, which makes it nice because you don't have to abuse the clutch, even on the smaller bikes. You just use that throttle and roll it on, and that helps you ride smoother, be able to ride longer, make fewer mistakes, and all that. Did go through the maps. I like the more aggressive map on the 250 and the 350. For me, I still like the standard map on the 450. Just that thing makes so much horsepower, I don't need it to hit harder. That was just my personal preference. And you know, the great thing about Husqvarna coming with these three models is you really have, depending on where you ride, what kind of riding you do, are you racing, are you just cruising around with your buddies on the weekend, whatever you want, they will offer you. If you're racing the 450, you know, the big class, that the bike is probably for you. It's just, you're never going to get out horsepowered. The thing is a monster, but it's very adjustable and friendly. I would run the standard map here with the traction control on. And again, it's a little sandy, so the traction control isn't as noticeable. When you get to some place that's got a hard base and it wants to kind of break loose and step out, that makes you a better rider. It's like cheating, but it's really fun to use. And again, all the suspension worked great. I didn't have any issues. Set the sag at 105 and ran it. And all of the little changes that they made to the engine, like I said, making it feel lighter, bringing the center of gravity, and you also feel that in corners and off of jumps. So anytime you had to like turn the bike in the air, if there's a couple hip jumps, or if you hit a rut a little crooked and you had to correct it in the air, it's just got a very light feeling where it's very easy to correct. Easy to change directions, cut out of a rut. So they've done a lot of work on just making it feel lighter, quicker, sharper, and it's very noticeable on the track. So great job to these guys. And again, just depending on the course you're riding, the type of riding you're doing, you just take your pick because they're all great machines. So we'll get back to you guys down the road here with some more dialed in videos on helping you get these things set up just right. But our initial impression from the Baker's factory here, these things are just missiles. They're finely tuned, very, very refined dirt bikes that these guys just continue year after year, and even halfway through the year as they come out with their Rockstar edition. They're just pushing the development envelope, and I love it. It's so fun to see. So thank you to Husqvarna for having us. Thank you to Alden Baker for letting us come out and ride at his facility. Check all of these Husqvarnas out, the 2019 models, at your local Husqvarna dealer. They are ready. Thanks for watching.